In the midst of the Montreal Canadiens postseason success to this point, one player has been left to the side pretty much since the first round series, and that's Tomas Tatar. I'm curious about his future. That's another guy who is slated to be an unrestricted free agent at season's end. Do you think Tomas Tatar has played his final game as a Montreal Canadien?
Unless there's injuries moving forward in the playoffs, yes. There's no way I can see him coming back next year. I really like Tomas Tatar as a person and as a player. He's a fun guy to be around, real popular with his teammates. He's one of those guys that you can almost, at the beginning of the season, you can check off he's going to score 20 goals. He scores 20 goals almost every year. But for whatever reason, once it gets into the playoffs, his game just doesn't seem to work, whether it's the tighter checking, whether it's the physical play. This happened to him in Vegas also. When Vegas went to the Stanley Cup, when he was there, he was a healthy scratch for most of the playoffs. So for whatever reason, it just doesn't work. You know, he's got a $4.8 million salary cap hit this year. The Canadiens need to re-sign Danault. They need to re-sign Armia. They're not going to be able to afford, I don't think, to keep Tatar even if they want. And what we've seen in these playoffs is that Jake Evans can fill that role with Danault and Gallagher on that line, and so can Artturi Lehkonen. And the fact that Evans can play center and wing opens up a lot of possibilities, because you remember Ryan Poehling, if he's ready to next year, he's your fourth line center, and you bump up Evans plays the wing on that line with Danault and Gallagher. Hopefully he's fully recovered from his concussion by that point. But other teams, somebody will sign Tomas Tatar, because Mark Bergevin said there's players who get you to the playoffs and players who get you through the playoffs. Tomas Tatar might not get you through the playoffs, but he can get you to the playoffs by scoring 20 goals.
Yeah, it's a weird situation with him, because during the regular season, you would just assume that he'd be able to carry on that play into the postseason and elevate his performance, but that's not the case. And it is unfortunate, because it seemed like when he was traded here from Vegas that he was able to find his game again and show that part that was missing before. But it's the same storyline that came back, and I would be surprised if the Canadiens re-sign him next year. I don't think he would take a huge pay cut if he's making over $4 now, but I think his time here in Montreal is up, which is unfortunate for a restaurant who has the Tomas Tuna Tartar now on their menu that they'll probably have to remove.
And I wouldn't have thought he'd become a depth player, but obviously there's no room in their lineup for him for what he brings. And they have a winning combination right now, and their lines are pretty good shape, other than maybe a few changes here and there. But I don't foresee him being part of the Montreal Canadiens next year, because it doesn't look like he's the kind of guy that they'd like to have in their lineup and pay what they have to pay, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't. It's not looking like a positive in my books for him to be in a Montreal Canadiens uniform next year.
But what says a lot about Tomas Tatar, the Canadiens tweeted out a video after they beat the Jets, and the players coming off the ice, and the guys, the healthy scratching that all in the hallway outside the room, all high-fiving the guys, and nobody looked more excited than Tomas Tatar. And so he's loved by his teammates. When you spend any time around him, you can see why. He's a very likable guy, one of those guys who always seems to be upbeat, in a good mood. He's obviously not happy being a healthy scratch. Nobody would be. But from that clip, at least, it looks like he isn't showing that with his teammates, and he's still part of the team and part of the guys, and won't be a negative influence even if he is a healthy scratch.
So how do you go about replacing Tomas Tatar if you let him go? Is it a situation where you think the Canadiens have enough depth to just have, someone just go up and replace him for the regular season? It's one thing for the playoffs to have Jake Evans and Artturi Lehkonen take up his spot, but for an 82-game season, is it sufficient to kind of roll with those two guys in the lineup? Do you see the Canadiens going out to get someone in the offseason potentially to fill up that spot? What do you guys think?
They're going to have to find another goal scorer, 20-goal scorer, to replace him. Bergevin, of course, nobody knows what's going to happen with Jonathan Drouin moving forward. Is he going to be back next season? Is he not going to be back? Are they going to trade him? What's going to happen? That's $5 million he's earning there. Like, what happens with that? So I'm sure Mark Bergevin, part of his offseason plan, and just Tatar leaving, that's $4.8 million right there. So you can probably go out and get another 20-goal scorer for maybe $3 million or something around there, or somebody who we think has the potential to be a 20-goal scorer in the future. So Mark Bergevin is going to have a lot of moves to make during the off season, but he might have some money to play with also.
or maybe they're going to bring Paling. Maybe they're going to have a good look at this kid and come from the Laval team. I don't know if it's an easy job to go out and scoop a 20-goal scorer. Obviously, easier said than done, I think. But it's going to be interesting to see if he does go, who will replace him, and hopefully they can find somebody that fits their mix and is a good guy to have in the dressing room, like Tomas Tatar was.
The other thing is go ahead, Jess.
I would continue to go with Lehkonen and Evans. Right now, they're showing that they can do the job, and then maybe look to fill in other parts of your roster. But those are the two guys who would replace him for me.
But Lehkonen, after his rookie season, looked like the guy who was going to be a 20-goal scorer in the NHL, and for whatever reason, hands of stone after that. But since he's been playing with Danault and Gallagher, he's scored a couple of goals, but he's had a lot of chances. I mean, he goes to all the dirty areas, and he's willing to. It's incredible how fearless he is for a guy who's not that big. So, maybe he can become a 20-goal scorer if he's playing with those two guys on a regular basis. So we talk about so much about confidence in hockey. He seems to have got his offensive confidence back playing with those two guys. And, the goals he scored were going to the net, banging in a rebound or deflecting a puck. So that's another possible option to have there with that line. And I think it's just that it's either going to be Evans or Lehkonen playing with those two guys next season. That's on the assumption that they can re-sign Philip Danault.
If Tomas Tatar ends up leaving Montreal, which I also think will probably happen, I see him in Edmonton. Is that weird? I don't think that's weird. I think they need some scoring out there. And if memory serves, Ken Holland was probably his first GM because he was in Detroit. But anyway,
good point.
Let us know in the comment section. What do you think will be in Tomas Tatar's future? Will he have more years with the Montreal Canadiens? Will he test the free agent market elsewhere? Who knows? Let us know in the comment section below. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and visit hockeyinsideout.com to check out our full episode.